the comments and what I hear from just people I know, that nobody really cares, gives a fuck about what happened to black people and what, this being our land, and we're like the only people that care about this stuff and preserve like the truth and hold that shit to our heart. And what I'm trying to get to these people is, if you always if you always like never gave a fuck, like put it like this, if you never gave a fuck when you did the stuff you did, right? Your ancestors never gave a fuck, I never gave a fuck in that era. And in the next era, y'all still doing fucked up shit. Still everything's a lie. Y'all still don't, nobody gives a fuck. They just want to drop it and move. Everybody just wants to drop it and move on. How could you believe in God and justice and then do that kind of stuff when the truth of where you live comes out? You see what I'm saying? And who it belongs to and all that stuff. And then at the same time, this country gives billions of dollars to whoever the fuck, and all that Middle East stuff is America funded. All that conflict there is funded. If America leaves those people alone and stops selling them weapons and guns, all that stuff goes away. That's all. It's all theater. Maybe a theater you could die in, but it's all a theater. Like, bro, like rich people engineer wars, bro. It's all a theater. It's all a setup. And like somebody on that side's getting paid. Cat out there. Somebody on each side is getting paid. So if you know that and you know everything's a scam and everything's a setup, and then like you got the response of we don't give a fuck, we just want to live our life. Eventually you got to expect, like, if you at least if you believe in a God and justice and universe causality, and if you study history and the fall and rise of civilizations, then you'll understand eventually all that shit is going to come back to haunt you. America's almost 400 years old, and that's a sign. And it has a history that predates it, that goes back more than 400 years when you look at it. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you always never gave a fuck, how do you expect to believe in justice and God and all this shit you push? But then everything you claim you stand for goes out the window when you just want to dismiss all of the truth about what this continent is, and like the desecration of the Holy Land, right, and the sacking and the scattering of the Hebrews, right, and the genocide of the Native Americans. But then like them same people be like Palestine this and Palestine that, and you dumbasses, that's not even Palestine. Palestine is here. Palestine is here over there by the west coast. That's where Palestine is. And they set this up so they could do that kind of stuff. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Why the fuck? I tell you, bro, y'all want peace in the Middle East? I'll tell y'all how to solve that right now. Stop giving them weapons, stop giving them money. All them nations, like, why does Iran even have the technology to begin to have a nuclear program? Because someone gave them the technology to figure that out. If America invented nuclear weapons, how the fuck all these other nations figure it out? How the fuck did that happen? Huh? Yeah. Came out too late. Yeah. You know? But then again, when you're in the mindset of like at that time, the whole nation and the whole body of people who, you know, was white and with America and stuck on the patriotism and super heavily programmed. We're heavily programmed today, but them, like, I don't know what it is about this generation of us and the future generations coming. They're really scared of it, because if technology gets better at serving people and thinking independently, they're gonna be in a lot of trouble, because that's not gonna, like, here's what I'm saying. You look at old moon landing footage, you can tell that shit is fake. They're not even trying to do nothing like that no more. You see what I'm saying? And then like you look at astronauts in space, and that's all mixed reality you're seeing right there. And your phone can, a lot of phones that are high end can do a lot of that shit. And if you're good with your hands, and you can make it look like, you know what I'm saying? And people be wearing little sensors and shit like that. That's what they do. But all that's catching up, right? And as all that becomes more available, it's like a double-edged sword. Like technology is a double-edged sword. And that's why we as Hebrews, we got like a love-hate relationship with technology. And that is so true. It's a love-hate relationship. Because look, they can lead you astray easily through this technology. Like when you get on YouTube, why wouldn't you get on YouTube and scroll through the shorts feed? It's all ridiculous, like a bunch of ridiculous shit with thousands of views, just stupid, ridiculous shit. That's because that's what the algorithm promotes, bro. Like, if you hear a song enough times, you'll be more prone to like it. And that's the principle they're using to jam all this bullshit down your throat. Like when you watch YouTube, it's all the same dance with the same sounds, and because look, I'm a YouTuber, so I know, and I'm a TikToker, so I know that they're telling people like, use this sound and we'll give you this and that, or talk about this, you know. That's what they're telling people to do. They're not telling people to get out there and use your mind and examine the world critically and all that. No, they don't want you doing that, because then you become. That's why when in the Bible it says, when you know the truth, you'll be free. Damn. And it's literal, because look, all this truth comes out, and as we like grow in this truth and our movements and shit like that, and whoever's gonna come with us, who from the other nations is gonna come with us, and whoever's gonna be over there is gonna be over there. It just depends on how offended you get when you start to see and hear the truth. But I don't know how, like, we talk about the truth and the history and all the stuff that happened to the Indians and the slaves and where they really got the slaves from. Like, you're gonna go to Africa. What are you gonna do? Go to Africa and buy slaves from a slave catcher? You're gonna spend billions. You're not gonna spend that money. You're gonna capture the Indians, bro. And then there's records of them capturing the Indians and shipping them to all kinds of places, and Liberia, and other places. So, like, it's just crazy. Like, all this stuff could happen to us, and then they think like, that'll never happen to me, and my nation will never fall. And isn't that what the Romans used to say, and the British used to say, and all that? Like, oh, you know, never. And look, and then whenever a country gets too out of control or too wicked, what happens? What happens in history? What happens in the Bible? Some cataclysm wipes them out. And in the Bible, just says, like, you know, God flooded them niggas out, or he sent a great storm and it took them off the land. But I'm gonna drop a little prelude to something I'm dropping anyway, because I don't know how most of my audience feels about the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon, or the Book of Mormon in general. You should read both of them. I highly recommend it. But you know how it says, like, Lehi and his family sailed from the Red Sea, right? And we know, like, the Red Sea is the Gulf of California, and we know back in the day, before damming and certain cataclysms, that used to be a island. You know, and there's a lot of dams in California. Okay? There's a lot of dams in California. And the states crisscrossing it. Okay? And I don't know if you ever drove through there and looked on Google Maps, but sometimes you'll be driving through the flat desert land, and the Google Maps will be showing you it's all water, because that area is actually still below sea level at certain points. That's why, like, and they're working on maps. And when I say Google Maps, I don't mean like satellites, because a satellite is a computer on a balloon. Just to be real with you guys, that's what a satellite is. There is no There is no falling forever computer in space. You know what I'm saying? There is none of that. A satellite is a computer on a balloon with cameras. And you can look that up. NASA uses them. A lot of people use them. That's what a satellite is. And the photos are just high altitude photos. That's why like they don't have real photos of the ocean, because they don't really go fly over the ocean and take them. But if you were outer space, you couldn't help but have full photos of ocean. You have to show that water like flowing and curving, and it don't. I mean, I'm kind of jumping back and forth, but in general, guys, I definitely want y'all to check out the next thing I'm bringing out with the, because the Book of Mormon is the key, bro. And I feel like Hawaii truly is the key because of that. You know, Lehi's family sailed to, they said they sailed to this land of promise, and that's Hawaii, guys. And that's why Hawaii is mentioned in the island's name. And they drop these little preludes and shit like that. Everything is like cryptic secrets you gotta look through. One guy asked me in the comments like, oh, what are some tips for researching truth? I'm like, bro, you really gotta pray for truth, bro. Like, and you gotta be earnest about that shit. Earnest and honest. Cause some people like, they take the truth for granted because it sounds crazy to them. Because like, look what they teach in schools, bro. Why do you think the government would bring so many people in and force them to go to school, and if you don't, the children go to jail? That sounds like some Nazi Germany shit, right? They want to bring you in and shove whatever the fuck they can in your mind until you can't think for yourself no more. And they're not even training you to like think independently or being like an inventor or an innovator. They're training you to be a worker, bro, so you can serve the system. And that's all the world is serving the system. Because like, and you wouldn't know that this is the freaking promised land because it's so like soulless. But that's because that's colonialism, colonization, and that's what desecrated the land. And nobody want to talk about desecration of the Holy Land. They want to talk about some Israel shit. That shit didn't even exist. Everyone was pilgrims here, remember? They taught you pilgrim in school. Well, what does it mean to make a pilgrimage? That means you take a journey to the Holy Land. You take a voyage to the Holy Land. And that's what they have done here, right? Here, right? In the, like, all that earth not flat shit and all that, that's all to bury it. All that space shit, they stealing millions of dollars from everybody, and all the nations and governments are in on it. Bro, and when you really read the Bible, that's what it's talking about. A big conspiracy against the meek of the earth, just the regular people of the earth. And that's what this is. Like, bro, like you think you gotta pay all these taxes? Look, even if there was space in NASA, let's shut all that shit down. Look, and let's focus on fixing what we got here. Let's focus on making good conditions here. Right? That's what you should do. Even if there was space, like, and what money are we making off of space right now? Nothing. Y'all haven't brought back no gold asteroids, no nothing like that. And even if y'all did, somehow we still broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, somehow the country's still fucked up. But it's not fucked up, bro. It's like, this is the end stage of capitalism. This is just like the fall of the Roman Empire. It's exact copy of the fall of the Roman Empire. And then look, read the book of Maccabees, because what was involved in the fall of the Roman Empire? What happened when the Roman Empire fell? When you understand the book of Maccabees, then you'll understand what really the Jews went up. See, and then like that's the stuff they suppress from history. And we all know that like Rome's here. Rome is Washington D.C. When you look at Washington D.C. and you look at the architecture and all that stuff they claim they put up in the horse and carriage days as monuments, it's all like stones with Mohs hardness is like 6 and 7. It's like marble and dolomite and stones you can't cut without diamond tip saws and blades and you're not gonna make these perfect statues and these perfect pillars with freaking chisels and freaking a horse and buggy and stand it. Like, how do you even stand these pillars up? There was no crane. And when you look at that stuff, like, that shit been there. It been there. All it did was come here, and it was ruined cities. When they found America, it was all ruined cities because that shit had been wiped out, and all this shit had happened already. And then they started unburying these cities and shit, and cleaning that shit up and making it look good. And now, in the modern age, they have fucking cleaned that shit up and made it look good. That's why America invented so much so-called technology, because they discovered this shit here. They were finding in California, like, I harp on this, spark plugs in rocks and bedrock. Spark plugs completely encapsulated in bedrock. Stuff they found in mounds and mines, stuff like that. The London Hammer in Texas, they can't explain shit like that. But I can, because their history is a lie. When you look at history, it's a big lie. And all that shit is like, there was nothing going on in America at all. And there was nothing here until freaking we popped up. And then there was these Indians. Then we killed all of them. Then we needed workers. So then we went to Africa. Then we got workers, right? And then we brought all these Africans here, right? And when you start to look at that shit, it's like, it's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. History is one big lie. History is a super big lie. And where are the Native Americans? I've been saying this for a while. Where are they at? Where are the Native Americans at? Someone tell me that. Where are they at? I go out every single day. I don't see no fucking Native Americans. And if they're the indigenous people of this land and not me, then why do I only see me and, you know, either Spanish people who are colonizers, they're Spanish, Spain, Europe, all right, and white people who are like Eastern Europeans, right? And then there's us, the second largest group in America outside these groups. And they're like, you came from Africa. And people say Spanish. Don't say that, because Spanish is an ethnicity that can, like, there's white Spanish people and there's black Spanish people, right? And then there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people, you know what I'm saying? So that's an ethnicity. It's not a race. So when you look at that, that's why they always like, why do you want to talk about race? Bitch, I want to know why y'all use race to discriminate against me and remove my heritage this whole time. So people get in the comments and say dumb shit like, y'all came here on slave ships from Africa. Bro, prove it. I be looking for shit. I be online all the time. You won't find historic ship manifest. You know what you will find they were shipping in? People they captured in the Caribbean, or people they captured in South America, they were taken to North America, or people they captured in Central America, they were taken to freaking South America, or that's what you'll find. Bro, of course they're not going to Africa. Bro, first of all, it's easy. These lands were separate for a reason from the rest of the earth, and it was covered in mystery, and it was like a mystery land for a reason. It's hard as hell to actually come here on the natural ocean currents. But it's easy to leave, because the currents, whether you're talking about the Pacific or the Atlantic, are taking things away from this land. All right? So that's a big one. So you know when the Bible says like they were a separate people and it's a separate land and it's the center of the earth, that's true as shit. That's why there's so much land in the U.S., Mexico, Canada. That's just the places I've been researching that have lands that's just off limits, especially Canada. But the U.S. too, and Mexico, but the U.S. is next on that list. All the Southwest is off limits to the public. It's all federally owned land, and that's why. Because when you go to the Southwest, you're getting into like the Great Salt Lake, which is really the Dead Sea, and like y'all heard about the Dead Sea Scrolls and all that stuff. Well, the real Dead Sea area where you would find stuff like that is off limits in Utah. Like I look into stuff like that, like who owns this land? Where's this land at? Because I want to go out there and look, because you're gonna start finding artifacts. But they don't want you to go out there and look. And they want to have these fake History Channel things about in Israel, somewhere else, like America isn't the land of milk and honey. People actually died trying to come to America. People drowned in the Rio Grande. There was a guy they caught. Bro, the dude like got dropped off on a cruise boat and like paddleboarded miles on a paddleboard in a suitcase and almost drowned a couple times trying to come to America. And it turns out I'm sure he was happy as hell the Border Patrol got him, bro. Because if not, he was going to drown. And look, people do that kind of stuff all the time to come here. Why? Because when they say the land of opportunity, the land of milk and honey and wine and vineyards and all that, that's right here. You go through this land, it's all milk and honey and vine and vineyard. But that's also why all these natural disasters are coming, because like the time of colonization of this land is over, and the land is actually alive. Like there's research into this, but like that's why creation can obey commands, because it's a living organism and it understands. So like when you see like, oh, this terrible wildfire destroyed all these homes and everybody evacuated and 200,000 or 500 people died, bro, if you got caught up in that, bro, I'm trying to tell you, it's because that was karmic retribution, bro. It's all karmic retribution. Like, God punishes people for what their ancestors do. When you read the Bible, that's what it says. It's simple as that. All that kind of stuff is karmic retribution. Or you would be spared by the grace of God. You feel me? Like, I had crazy shit happen where I just walked out near death. Like, holy shit. I don't know how the fuck I even got out of that. Grace of God. On God. Grace of God. But everybody can't get into that kind of stuff, bro. Like, I don't know. They can't even get into that kind of mode because thinking like that scares them. But, like, bro, the truth is scary, bro. But, look, if you're the only one that will recognize that truth that's true, then you're the only one that will be able to really see what's going on. Like, you'll peep the motion of everything. And once you start peeping the motion of shit, you can't be fooled by none of that stuff, bro. What are you talking about? You imported the second largest group. Like, that's ridiculous. There's like 50 million black people. Just in the 50 states. Like, I just counted the 50 states when I did my research. And now I used the 2020 census. That's the last census. So like yeah. And then, like, if I wanted to go into Mexico and then go into Canada and then go into like the islands of the sea and the Caribbeans and all that, it would increase exponentially. And then as I go on down South America, it would increase exponentially. And then when I hit Brazil, that shit would blow the fuck up. And then look, they're claiming that they brought slaves to Brazil from Africa. Like, how fucking stupid. Like, look at the world. Brazil is on the other side of the continent from Africa. The only way you could sail there at any time that makes any sense is the Panama Canal right now. And according to them, that wasn't there. So that wasn't there, right? How are they getting slaves to Brazil? Brazil has the highest black population in the not the Americas, but in South America. It's crazy. Brazil is crazy. But when you think about it, like, now we're going to say that these people came from Africa. Like, you literally, and they're saying a lot of them came from, like, West Africa. Not Northwest. I'll say North. Yeah, Northwest. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, so the other logical way, other than to sail around the tip of Brazil, the tip of Chile, and come all the way up to Brazil, would be to, like, drop them off in the land and then have them shipped all the way through the land. None of that shit happened. Bro, of course, when they got there, they found you on the land, and that's where they enslaved you at. That's the only thing that makes sense now. Like, where the fuck do you get millions and millions of black people from? Like, you're trying to tell me, like, someone actually put millions of people on a boat and shipped them over here? That's fucking stupid. And then even when you when you start counting, you're like, wait a second. Bro, they were just kidnapping people, bro. That's what was going on. Bro, like, bro, and look, you could have not even been in Africa because there was black people everywhere. Black people be everywhere for a long time. Been everywhere for a long time. But to say we're not in the indigenous people is ridiculous when we're the second largest racial group. And when you look at the history and conquest, like, all the stuff that is necessary to conquer a people definitely happened to us. Like, you gotta go there, you gotta brutalize them, then you gotta enslave them, then you gotta educate them, right? Right? And then if they ever get annoyed or hate how you treat them, then you gotta really brutalize them again, and that still happens. Like, yeah, go tell them it's your land and get ruckus and bucket. They're gonna the cops gonna break your neck or something. And if there's a lot of you, they're just gonna bring a SWAT team out and to go ham. That's what's going on in LA right now. But like, Spanish people be like, oh, you're not standing with a. I'm like, bro, I ain't even vote. That was my standing with everybody right there. I don't give a fuck who's the president, because you know why? It don't fucking matter who's the fucking president. It don't fucking matter. Do you think Kamala Harris would have been better? That shit is stupid. She's not even a black woman. She's an East Indian person. Her family were in Jamaica because they were slave traders, and that's a fact. Those are facts. See what I'm saying? Those are facts. Look, and then go fact check that. Go fact check that, because I'm sure there's fact checkers fact checking it. And then check the fact checker and then go look for the independent sources. Because when you look for the independent sources, you're going to get it right off the bat. There's no African American, for whatever that means, ancestry in them. There's only black people. There's only East Indian, sorry. So, like, do you really think that you was going to get anything different with Kamala Harris? Bro, this is how this works. Joe Biden wasn't a bad president on accident. He did it. It's all on purpose. Everything's on purpose. They wanted you to vote for Trump. They want America to be great again. And the only time America was ever great is when niggas had free labor and niggas had free land, bro. And that's literally what made America great. It wasn't fucking hard work, bitch. We worked hard and we didn't get shit, bitch. And it's not hard work now, because right now, black or white, I'm sure you probably work hard and you don't got shit. And most people work hard and don't got shit. So it's not hard work that earns shit. It's actually exploitation of labor. And if you could figure out how to exploit people's labor and be a fucking slave master like these fucking guys have, then the police will protect you because you got money. And if these people feel like you don't pay them enough and you've been holding out on them for their labor and they want to fucking murder you or something like that, which, you know, I'm not saying I'm for, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying I'm against. I'm a very, you know, if they want to shoot insurance CEOs in the back, you know what I'm saying, for not holding up on their deals, that's what's going on now. And it doesn't matter. Everyone's wilding, bro. It's like this shit is stolen anyway, bro, and everything's a lie. Bro, they don't, you know what? If they wanted to stop all that shit, hey, guess what? Shut down the space program, open up a real universal health program here. Like a real universal health program that guarantees coverage. And then if we shut down the space program, we can fund it with the space. There's no need for, why are we out in space with all this bullshit when we got all this bullshit? Even if there is a space that you can go to, which I really don't believe in, why would you have a space program when you got fucking all these fucking problems here? Like, you got hella problems in the US. We worried about space and fucking all this dumb shit. And then that's how they get you, because you get on YouTube and that's all the content is this crazy shit. Scroll through the shorts feed. I bet you won't find anything of value. I bet it's all like bullshit. I bet everyone's feed is bullshit. And then sometimes on TikTok you can get some real shit. And then sometimes on Facebook too. And their reels. But like YouTube, no, but they're the biggest one. So like they're like, you know, corporate. YouTube is owned by parent company is ABC. This is all the government. Trust me, like I would liken it to a spider web, right? And this spider web, the government and the ruling families that establish this government, because that's how this works, and run the government in secret, it's always the people in the bloodlines who've established and always been in charge, stay in charge. You know, they are a part of that spider in the center, right? And when you look at this web, there's all these like other groups that come out from it. So you think like this is just the world and you know what you're dealing with. You know you're trapped in a web and you're surrounded by a bunch of groups that serve the spider, and they're actually feeding you to it, and they're sucking off your labor and time and energy, and you're feeding this system of servitude. But that shit is coming to an end. That's why all these billionaires are building like mansions and shit. Their planes are falling out the sky. Like if you look it up, billionaires are dying in the most explicit ways. It's all apocalypse of Abraham shit. It's all apocalypse of Abraham shit. All of it. I promise you, my guys. Like that one dude getting shot in the back, that's the execution of the sword, bro. And like people say like violence is bad, and I'm like, no, all this stuff has to happen, bro, because this is all the reward of wickedness, bro. And that's why like when you got money, you run an insurance company, and people hate insurance. I think insurance is ridiculous. I think the fact that the government mandates it is ridiculous. Like at least for cars, like I think a mandate for anything is ridiculous. And if you're going to mandate something, you should pay for it. If you're going to mandate something, you should also mandate the people that provide it to make sure that shit is either affordable for everybody. In some cases, that would mean free. You know what I'm saying? Or something. Why you mandate me to buy this stuff from this private company, and then I can't really hold this private company to a standard, but you're not going to provide it to me? You mandate it, but you're not providing it to me. And even if you provide it to me, why should I pay for it? It's just a tax. It's just a tax to drive. That's how they did the tax to drive. Yeah, and I'm trying to tell you, people go on the court and challenge that and won. And they just drive around with nothing on. No plates, no nothing. They just drive around. Because they won. They beat it in court a bunch of times. The truth is, they don't win in court. The courts don't want to try it as a legal matter in higher courts because it'll set a precedent. And they don't want to set these precedents. They would rather let one guy drive around like that and have everybody alerted. That this guy like knows his rights. And he knows he can freely travel. And freely means free. And that means no impediments and impediments at all. That's what free means. And that's what it means in the law dictionary too. And when you start to look into this stuff, you're like, so they are arbitrarily converting my rights. And that's whatever rights they gave to Europeans. For years, black people didn't have no rights. And even though we were the aboriginals of the land, when you look it up, there's black people on every continent. They were all, and they always wonder, like, when did these people get here? Probably. You know, but when they rolled up, they were like, they're on the islands, they're in Canada, they're here. And now they go, oh, everybody's a Alaskan, Siberian, Asian, mongrel, Native American person. You go to Pennsylvania, it's all white people claiming to be Cherokee. Like, you go through there, it's all signs like Cherokee family this and Cherokee family that. I want to see if y'all got the haplogroups that's found in the burial mounds in America. This is why they don't let you go and touch those artifacts, and they don't want you DNA testing, and Native Americans say, oh, you can't touch that. And the government says, if we find this, we're going to give it to these people because it's theirs. They're not going to let anybody test, because I'm sure, you know, in other burial mounds, they found DNA similar to the people here, the black people here. Bro, and they know they're not the people. That's why they give them all the artifacts. That's what goes on in America. That's what America is about. It's about like a whole fraud, a fraudulent fake, just garbage. You know, people is thieves and robbers, bro, and they don't understand that like you can't always like When Europeans got here, they didn't give a fuck. I'm gonna say this again. They did all these other things after they got here, all the way to this point. They've never ever given a fuck about none of that. Then they claim they believe in God and justice, and they can't see that they're being destroyed by nature and God and justice. I've looked at the numbers. Europeans colonized 80% of the world. Effectively through conquest and all kinds of shit, they took over the whole world. Like, when you look at, they were in China. There was a whole age of expansion and imperialism and colonialism. And they just wiped out and buried all these cultures and things like that. And they just destroyed all that shit. And now in this age, because their age is coming to an end, they're about to destroy each other in a big war. Bro, and like that's what I'm saying. We as black people have no part of that unless you're dumb enough to be in their armed services and you think like they could like then I guess. But even if I was there, bro, as soon as shit popped off and I knew I'm leaving, let them figure that shit out for themselves, bro. That's not my problem. It really is not my problem, bro. I was only there for the money. And the people are only there for the money. Bro, that's the only reason people do that shit. But like if anything pops off here, I don't know what they expect these soldiers to do. You think if there's a mass civil unrest and you're gonna get these people to go fire on civilians when they're all this crazy, they're gonna go hold down their own families and houses because that's why they got that career. They're only gonna have a select group of people who are like robots who don't care about nothing but military service. Probably the freaking clone people they made. You know, they was cloning people. Right now they got the enhanced Olympics. Now you could fucking take all different kinds of performance enhancers that they're not just steroids, they're all kind, bro, even gene manipulation. You could, you could pay them to rewrite your genes with mRNA. And a lot of people took let me not tell you what a lot of people took because then let me not tell you what a lot of people took because then it's gonna be they're gonna take my video down. But yeah, but you can overwrite genetic code with like crazy manipulation, bro. And I wish I could explain what I know about that, but they would literally take the video down. YouTube has a bad habit of that. Alright, I don't know how long I've been live. Yo, peace family, wait for some other video content, because you know I'm not really like a live person. I jump in here to bullshit, I'll be rambling. But, you know. Alright guys.